So you have this dream to own multiple food trucks across multiple cities. Your name on the side of every truck, lines around the block. The movie version of your life. You're not crazy for having it. Two cousins started with one lobster-roll truck and a $55,000 check from Shark Tank. Today, their brand runs more than 40 trucks and locations across 25 cities, doing over $30 million a year. A family that started with a pushcart selling hot dogs on a Manhattan corner turned it into the Halal Guys, over 100 locations worldwide. And the whole modern food truck movement traces to one broke chef in 2008. His name is Roy Choi. Classically trained, Culinary Institute of America, luxury hotel kitchens, and unemployed after the 2008 crash. In November of that year, he and two partners put a used taco truck on the streets of Los Angeles, selling $2 Korean short-rib tacos under the name Kogi. Their one innovation wasn't the food, it was announcing the truck's location on a brand new app called Twitter. Crowds of hundreds began chasing the truck around the city. Within a year, Kogi was running multiple trucks and reportedly clearing $2 million annually. Choi became the first food truck chef ever named a Best New Chef by Food and Wine. And 6 years later, Hollywood turned his story into the movie Chef. The one that planted this exact dream in your head. So the dream is real, people have done it. But every one of them will tell you the same uncomfortable thing. The empire never came from the trucks. Let me show you what they actually built. Start with the honest math of one truck, because the empire is just this math multiplied, including the ugly parts. A used, equipped truck costs $30,000 to $80,000. A new custom build, $75,000 to $200,000. A typical truck in a decent market does $250,000 to $500,000 a year in revenue. Top trucks in great markets can touch $1 million. Sounds fantastic until you run the costs. Food at 28 to 35%, labor at 25 to 30, fuel, propane, insurance, commissary rent, permits, repairs. Net margin on a typical truck, 6 to 15%. That's restaurant margins on wheels. A truck grossing 400 grand might put 40 in your pocket, if nothing breaks. And the commonly cited failure rate is about 60% within 3 years. Same as restaurants. The wheels don't change the odds by themselves. And one more thing nobody puts in the montage. The truck is a single point of failure. One blown engine, one failed generator on a Saturday, and your revenue for the weekend is zero. There is no backup dining room. Now the part that specifically attacks your dream, the multiple cities part. Mechanism 1. The permit wall. Food trucks don't just drive somewhere and sell. In most jurisdictions, you must prep and park at a licensed commissary kitchen, hold health permits, fire permits for the propane, vending zone permissions, and event licenses, and every single city has its own regime. Permits can run from $1,000 a year in friendly towns to tens of thousands in hostile ones. New York caps its mobile vending permits entirely. The waitlist is so old that permits informally rent on a black market for a reported $20,000 to $25,000 a year. That's rent for a piece of paper. Here's why that matters to your dream. Expanding to a second city doesn't just double your operation, it doubles your regulatory surface. New permits, new commissary, new inspectors, new parking rules, new relationships. The revenue scales linearly. The paperwork scales worse. This is why almost nobody actually owns 10 trucks in 10 cities, and why the ones who conquered multiple cities did it a completely different way. Hold that thought. Mechanism 2. The catering flip. This is the one that separates trucks that survive from trucks that don't. Ask any operator who's lasted 5 years where the money is, and they'll tell you, the street window is not the business. Successful trucks commonly make 30 to 60% of their revenue from catering, corporate lunches, weddings, film sets, breweries that have taps but no kitchen. Catering is pre-sold, guaranteed minimums, no weather risk, no guessing whether the lunch crowd shows up. Higher margins, because you know exactly how much food to prep, which in street service is a daily gamble you lose in the trash can. The street line, it turns out, is marketing. 300 people chasing your truck on a Tuesday is how you close the $15,000 wedding on Saturday. The visible business feeds the invisible one. Roy Choi's crowds made Kogi a brand. The brand is what paid. Mechanism 3. Location is a negotiated asset, not a parking spot. Truck revenue is spots times traffic. The great spots, office parks, festivals, stadium districts, are gated. Festivals commonly take 10 to 30% of your sales or charge flat fees. Office plazas require agreements. The winning operators don't roam, they build standing arrangements. The brewery residency every Friday, the office park every Tuesday, the farmer's market anchor slot. Predictable spots, predictable prep, predictable revenue. The romantic version of this business drives around looking for customers. The profitable version parks in the same 5 places every week by appointment. Which brings us to the real answer. Mechanism 4. The 3 ways people actually build the food truck empire. Path 1. Franchise the brand. This is Cousins' Maine Lobster. The Cousins didn't buy 40 trucks, franchisees did. The Cousins sell the system, the brand, the menu, the supply chain for Maine Lobster, the playbook. Barbara Corcoran's $55,000 check bought 15% of what became a franchising machine. When someone runs a truck with your name on it in a city you've never visited and pays you for the privilege, that's the multi-city dream achieved by not owning the trucks. Path 2. The truck as a launchpad. This is Kogi and the Halal guys. The truck, or the cart, is the cheapest proof of concept the restaurant industry has ever invented. You validate a menu and build a following for 50 grand instead of $1 million build-out. Then the brand graduates to brick and mortar, and the truck keeps rolling as a billboard. A pushcart at 53rd and 6th became a 100-location global chain because the cart proved, beyond argument, that people would stand in line for the chicken and rice. Path 3. The quiet one. The catering company with trucks. No street service at all, or barely any. Booked events, corporate contracts, weddings. Trucks as mobile kitchens for a sales calendar. It's the least Instagrammable version and the most bankable one. The path almost nobody survives is the literal one you dreamed. Personally owning a fleet spread across cities, each truck needing its own manager, its own permits, its own commissary, with food quality decaying every mile it gets from you. So let's replay your dream, honestly. You start with 1 used truck and a menu with 1 killer item, not 12. You get the permits, the commissary, and 5 standing spots by appointment. You survive the 6 to 15% margin year and learn the machine. Then you push hard into catering until it's half your revenue, because that's the money. And then, only then, you choose your empire. Franchise the brand, graduate to walls, or go full catering. The trucks multiply, but by then, they're not the business anymore. The brand is. The bookings are. The system is. So you have this dream to own multiple food trucks across multiple cities. Good. Keep it. Just understand what it's actually made of. The truck is a rolling billboard, the street line is an advertisement. The catering calendar is the income, and the brand is the empire. Roy Choi's empire was never parked at the curb. It was in the 400,000 people following the truck's Twitter account. The truck gets you noticed. The system gets you rich. Build both. In that order.